You know,
I have. Ciao. Thank you.
Excellent. So, looking at some of the changes that you've made to the cast, a lot of characters have been switched from male to female, like Pollution and Beelzebub. We've got some different races going on with Adam and Eve specifically. Can you talk a little bit about the decision-making process when it came to updating the cast in terms of gender diversity?
Well, in terms of gender diversity, my attitude was demons and angels, as stated in the book, have no gender, have no sex. There's a line where it says they basically don't have sex unless there's specific sexual characteristics, unless they work at it very hard. So as far as I was concerned, you know, the Archangel Michael and the Archangel Uriel are both played by women. Sandalphon and Gabriel are both played by men. I love that one of those women is black. Gloria Bayo, who is just this amazing actress who I'd seen in theatre in the UK, in the Donmar Theatre, and just tagged her as somebody to watch. The fact that she came and sat next to me in the intermission and said, "You're Neil Gaiman, oh my God, I'm such a fangirl," helped, but it did not actually get her the role.
It's How to Get Hired by Neil Gaiman.
And doing the same in Hell. We had two male demons in a Hasta and a Liga, and I love the idea that Beelzebub would be Anna Maxwell Martin, that Dagon would be Elizabeth Barrington. It gave us a nice kind of balance.
I think the thing we were doing all the way through the casting process in these terms was to question the assumptions and see if there was a different answer that just felt right. So War is not a 23-year-old lap dancer, you know. She's an incredibly beautiful, powerful, strong, modern woman, you know, who happens to be a bit older than 23. But that's who she is. Because I felt particularly strongly in that case that the stereotype of a 23-year-old lap dancer getting off a motorbike would just be crass these days. And so we just tried to. And think. I mean,
the one I received the most shit from so far, which I thought was interesting, was Pepper.
Yeah.
Who is played by a fantastic young actress named Amaris, and
who happens to be
who is a person of colour, who is a small girl of colour, and who also happened to be the best and the feistiest person who turned up at any of the auditions.
Who's done 6 months or longer than that on the stage in School of Rock, which gives you a certain degree of confidence, you know. And she just walked in and stole the part, and we didn't even think about that one. It's all just.
I'm trying to remember if there's a
Pepper actually is one of. Well, what's interesting is there are almost no physical descriptions of anybody in the book. But Pepper actually is described as having red hair and a face that was basically one giant freckle.
Yes.
And so people are like, "Oh my God, that has to be white." I'm like, "Yeah, no, she doesn't."
Yeah.
Thank you. Next. So,
and you know, Adam and Eve being people of colour just feels completely honest and straightforward, you know, doesn't it?
Shooting in Africa.
You know, it's the Garden of Eden. Where was it? Well, it was in Africa.
And there's also a kind of a thing of, this is Good Omens. It is going to be respectful towards religion because Good Omens fundamentally is. But if you're the kind of person who's going to have problems with a black Adam and Eve, please stop watching in the first minute or two, because it's only going to get worse. If you have problems with that, it's just going to get so much worse for you. You are going to be
other
miserable.
questions around the table.
I had one. Neil, I was wondering, was there anything in particular that you were very adamant about for keeping in the final edits because of Terry?
There have actually been moments during the editing process when I have turned to Douglas and said, that was Terry's moment, that was Terry's line, he would want that in there, I think we put it in there. But I don't actually think I could name them, because the entirety of the last 6 months has been spent in rooms deciding lines to keep, lines to lose.
In that whole time we had one discussion about a Terry thing that we haven't actually done yet, you know. But it's but I want to do it, and you know,
we have one secret Terry Easter egg that we still have to put in.
And also, you know, things like his hat is always in the bookshop. You know, you see it in the first frame. You see his aerophil. You see Terry's hat hanging there. You have to work a little bit hard to find it, but you know, but there's Easter eggs like that all the way through. But the other thing I'd say is that I'd never met Terry Pratchett. I wish I had, but he was always in the room when we were filming. You know, because it was my job as a director. I saw it as being to enable their vision that was in the book. So if you do that, Terry's always in the room. It's just always there naturally. So if you trust that and you just go with, you know, it's there.
So the project has seen a bunch of writers and directors attached to it throughout the years. What were you looking for in a director, and why did Douglas fit that bill?
Scottishness.
Daft enough to turn up.
Actually, what I was looking for was a director who was willing to take on the entire project and make a 6-hour movie. And there were definitely directors out there who would have loved to do. If we'd split Good Omens into 6 episodes and had 3 directors, each do 2 episodes, lots of people would have happily turned up, shot a couple of episodes and gone away. I wanted somebody who was prepared to take this thing on as the huge thing it was and go all the way on it.
And meanwhile, audaciously, I didn't know that. Audaciously, I just said, if you want me to do it, I'm doing the fucking lot. Or not, or nothing. Because I couldn't see how it could be 2 directors or 3 directors. It has to be 1 director. Because there's a flavour to Good Omens that if you don't get it, and time will tell whether I've got it or not, there's a flavour to it that is, you've got to get the essence of it right, every frame.
And we actually had to kind of figure out what that was while we were doing it. There were just moments in it where Douglas would say to me, that thing that just happened, that's a Good Omens thing.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, and we'd be going, yeah, even in auditions, where we were seeing the first round of auditions and none of them were working for me. And I said, Douglas, none of them work for me. I think it's because they're all doing comedy acting. And I think we have to send a note to the casting director to explain to people that even if they think the dialogue is funny, don't do comedy acting, just do acting.
And what was funny about that was I wasn't attending those initial auditions because they were all done on tape, which was just quite normal in the very early stages. But then one actress came in,
Nina Sasanya,
who plays one of the nuns, and she is
Sister Mary Loquacious.
She is a huge fan of the book. She reads it every year. She came in and she hit it, and we both went, "That's it. That's the thing. That's the tone."
But it was that feeling that now we'd seen it,
we could apply it.
We
everywhere.
could actually tell people, "Hey, there's this thing," and we knew what it was.
But anyway, David and Micah are the worst people to work with.
I saw that.